Yes, children. So there is a one more time we will do revision. Repeat. Okay. So the second very important term, why I am stressing this the chemical property is because it is one of the important property. Okay. So let me go. Just revise for the 2 minutes. Next we move on to the next chemical property, the last chemical property. So the second chemical property is what happens when metal reacts with water. When metal reacts with water, see we have the many kinds of metals here, children. So these are the according to the reactivity, according to its reaction, we have listed here. So at the first list we get there is a potassium. It is a highly reactive metal. Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, lead, hydrogen, calcium. Then then Hg, mercury, silver and Au. Okay. So copper. Okay. So these are the less reactive metal. We do not react with any of the substances, so no reaction in this. Okay. Next we come to the first two elements which are the highly reactive metals. It have the capacity to react with cold water. So when it reacts with cold water, it forms hydroxide and hydrogen gas as a product. So what will happen when you add this sodium or potassium to the water? It do not sink, it floats on water. Okay, so it floats on water and it starts releasing its product. So as hydrogen, when it starts releasing it in the form of bubbles, it rises up and it catches the oxygen from the atmosphere and it immediately catch fire. So that is why the reason we need to keep kerosene, these two metals we need to store in the kerosene because to avoid the catching of fire. Next, the calcium, again when compared to these two, this is a less reactive metal. Of course, it gives the product as a calcium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Okay, but it do not catch fire because the calcium sinks in the water, then it starts producing hydrogen. Because of less heat, it do not catch fire. Because to catch fire or if the combustion reaction should take place means we need oxygen and heat. At the same time, two also will be there means it catches fire, but calcium do not. Next, we come to the medium reactive element, that is aluminum, zinc and iron. So these three are the metals can have the capacity to react with steam. Then it forms its oxide and hydrogen gas as a product. Next, magnesium, alone a metal can have the capacity to react with the hot water and forms the hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen gas as a product. I hope you have understood. This is second chemical property of metal. So let me move on to the third chemical property of metal. Important. The third chemical property is what happens when metal reacts with dilute acids. Metals reacts with dilute acids. Okay, children. So the third chemical property is what happens when metals reacts with dilute acids. What do you mean by dilute acids? Acids, we know that those substances, acids are the substance which have sour taste in it, which turns blue litmus paper to red and which have the hydrogen ion concentration in them. Okay, so dilute acids means, see, if we add water to the acid, then it forms a dilute one. And concentrated means which have a very less amount of water and more amount of acid, they are the concentrated acid. Dilute acid is more amount of water and less amount of acid. That is called dilute acid. Concentrated acid, more amount of acid and less amount of water. That is called concentrated acid. So here in this reaction, metals will react with dilute acid. So what happens when metal reacts with dilute acid? See, we have the metals. So when metal reacts with dilute acids, it forms salt and water. Salt and metal salt. Sorry, not water. Metal salt and hydrogen gas. So let me take sodium. When sodium reacts with, see, the dilute acids are mineral acids. They are the mineral acids which we get in the earth's crust. For example, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid and nitric acid. These three are the dilute acids or mineral acids. So what happens when sodium reacts with, let's take an example, HCl. Okay, so this is the sodium and this is hydrochloric acid, which is a dilute one. When these two react, it forms salt. Sodium is a metal and Cl is a salt. So metal salt and hydrogen gas. Okay, NaCl plus H2. Next, when magnesium reacts with hydrochloric acid, it forms MgCl, magnesium chloride plus hydrogen gas. They are the metal salts. Understood? They are the metal salts. So when metal reacts with dilute acid, it forms salt and metal salt and hydrogen gas as a product. Next, we move on to the one more mineral acid, that is what happens when aluminium reacts with H2SO4. AlSO4, aluminium sulfate and hydrogen gas as a product. So aluminium is a metal and SO4 is a salt. So metal salt as a product. Okay. So Na plus SO4, NaSO4 plus H2. You take any of the metal. Understood? So when metal reacts with acids such as hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid, it reacts with the metal and it forms a product as a metal salt and hydrogen gas. Next, here the metals do not react with nitric acid. Here in the case, see, you have to observe that metals do not react with nitric acid. Why? What is the reason metals do not react with nitric acid? Because, see, metal do not react with nitric acid because it is a highly oxidizing agent. Nitric acid as a highly oxidizing agent. Nitric acid is a highly oxidizing agent. When it reacts with oxygen, it forms water. Okay. So see here, when it reacts with oxygen, when metal reacts with this nitric acid, due to its highly oxidizing agent, it forms water. But what we need here? We need the hydrogen gas as a product and metal salt. But in the case of hydrogen gas, we start getting water. That's why metals do not react with dilute nitric acid. It has only the capacity to react with dilute hydrochloric acid and dilute sulfuric acid. But now you can ask a question. None of the metals do not react with nitric acid. Only two metals are there, that is magnesium and manganese. Okay. So what happens when magnesium reacts with HNO3? Only magnesium and manganese have the capacity to react with dilute acids called nitric acid. So MgNO3. See, we are getting the product here, MgNO3 and hydrogen gas magnesium nitrate. This is magnesium nitrate. NO3 is nitrate. Magnesium nitrate and hydrogen gas. When manganese reacts with HNO3, MnO3, manganese nitrate, MnO3 plus hydrogen gas. Only these two are the metals can have the capacity to react with the nitric acid. None of the other metal react with nitric acid. If you get the question in your examination, why dilute acids do not react with nitric acid, means because the nitric acid is a highly oxidizing agent. When it reacts with oxygen, okay, then it forms the water. It do not allow the hydrogen to release. It reacts with hydrogen and it forms water. But here we need in this reaction the hydrogen as a product. So metals do not react with nitric acid except manganese and magnesium. Understood, children? This is the third chemical property. So this completes the chemical properties of metals. Three important chemical properties. One is what happens when metal reacts with oxygen. It forms its basic oxide, and amphoteric oxides are also there. Examples I had already given. Next, the second chemical property is what happens when metal reacts with water. So there are some list of metals were there in the last class. I have done it. So they react with many substances: cold water, hot water, steam, and all. Okay. The third chemical property is when metal reacts with acids. Dilute acids, not concentrated. Hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid can have the ability to react with any of the metal and form hydrogen gas and salt as a product. But nitric acid do not react with dilute acids. Because of its highly oxidizing agent, it forms the water. But in this reaction, we need the hydrogen as a product. So, none of the metals do not react with nitric acid except these two metals. Understood, children? I hope you have understood the chemical properties of metals. If you have any doubts, please message or you call me and ask me whatever doubts you have. But the thing is, in the chemistry for your 10th standard, all the lessons are based on the chemical reactions except one lesson, last lesson. Chemical equations are there. You need to by heart, because if you write the chemical equations only, you will get the complete full marks. So first you need to by heart the symbols of elements, metals and non-metals, then its chemical formula, then how to write the chemical equations. These three, if you will be thorough in that, then you will be able to write the chemical equations by keeping the reactions in mind, and you can write